Hello everyone. We have already discussed earlier that a capacitor stores electrical energy. Similarly here we have an inductor. That inductor stores magnetic energy. We have actually discussed about inductor, inductance, self-inductance, then mutual inductance, etc. in the previous videos. I will provide the link in the description box. If you haven't watched that, please watch that. So, a capacitor stores electrical energy. Similar to that, an inductor stores magnetic energy. That is, to establish a current in a coil, work needs to be done against the back EMF. That is the self-induced EMF. Because that back EMF or the self-induced EMF opposes the change in current through the coil. For example, if you want to establish a current of 5 ampere in a coil or in a circuit, then current has to change from 0 ampere to 5 ampere. Right. So there is a change in current from 0 ampere to 5 ampere because initially the current through the coil is 0, that is 0 ampere, and we want to establish a current of 5 ampere. So there is a change in current from 0 ampere to 5 ampere. Okay. Then the back EMF or the induced EMF actually opposes this change in current through the coil. So to establish a current in the coil, some work needs to be done. Okay, against the back EMF because that opposes this change in current. This work done is actually stored in the form of magnetic potential energy in an inductor. Okay, that work done is actually stored in the form of magnetic potential energy in an inductor. Now, we have the formula for the work done dW as dW is equal to V into dQ. Actually, you have studied about this formula in the earlier classes. But in our present discussion, this V is actually the induced EMF epsilon. Okay, this epsilon can be written as minus epsilon actually because this induced EMF is a self-induced EMF or the back EMF which opposes the current, the change in current. Okay, which opposes the change in current through the coil. But here we are just considering the magnitude of this EMF epsilon. So we can write this expression as dW is equal to modulus of epsilon into dQ. Actually, what is epsilon? According to Faraday, using Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, and while we have discussed about self-inductance and mutual inductance, actually we got this formula. In the case of self-inductance, we got this formula. Self-induced EMF epsilon or the back EMF epsilon is equal to minus L into di by dt, where L is the self-inductance of the coil. Okay, here in our discussion, this V is actually the epsilon, the back EMF, but we are just considering the magnitude of it. So magnitude of it means I don't want to consider this negative sign. So we can write this work done as dW is equal to what? L into di by dt, okay, into dQ. Alright, now you have the formula for the current like this now. I is equal to dQ divided by dt. From this expression, you can write dQ as what? I into dt. So, I am writing like this. dW is equal to L is here. This dQ can be written as I into dt. So, I, then di by dt, then this dt. Okay, we have already this L into di by dt here. This dQ can be written as I into dt. So, I is written here and dt is written here. I just rearranged, that's all. Okay, now you see here we have the change in current with respect to time, and here we have a change in time. Okay, then here we have an interval of time. So, we can write this like this now. dW is equal to L into I into di. Okay, we can write it as L into I into di. Now, what about the total amount of work done in establishing a current I if you want to establish a current I which is equal to 10 ampere or 5 ampere or 12 ampere in an electrical circuit, we have to do some work against that back EMF. So what will be the total amount of work done here? Work done W is equal to, we can just integrate it now, integral dW, which is equal to integral L into I into di. Then we are establishing a current I. Initially the current is 0 ampere. Then we want to establish a current I ampere. That is 0 ampere to 5 ampere. Or initially the current is 0 ampere. We want to establish a current of 12 ampere. So I will be 12 there. Okay. So here we want to establish an amount of current I in the circuit. So 0 to that amount of current. So integration limit will be 0 to I. Okay. Now while we are doing integration, we can write it as total amount of work done in establishing the current I. That is W is equal to, I can take this L outside because integration variable is current. Then integral I di. What is that integral I di? I square by 2. Limit 0 to I. Okay. So this work done can be written as L into upper limit minus lower limit. So while we are putting the upper limit, this will be I square divided by 2 minus L into lower limit 0 by 2. Okay. So this will be 0 square is 0. Okay. So L I square by 2 minus L into 0, 0 by 2, 0. Okay. So total amount of work done, we will get it as half L I square. Okay. I am taking it as equation number A. So this is the work done which is stored as magnetic potential energy in an inductor. So this is the work done which is stored as magnetic potential energy in an inductor. That is, this much amount of energy is actually required to build up an amount of current I in an electrical circuit or in that circuit. Okay, now this expression W is equal to half Li square, this expression A, it is quite similar to the expression for the mechanical kinetic energy, no? What is the expression for the kinetic energy? Kinetic energy is equal to half mv square, where m is the mass of the particle and v is the velocity of that particle. Okay, so I am taking this as expression B. Now, when we compare these two expressions, half Li square, half mv square. Okay, half, then I square here, v square here. So, when we are comparing these two, A and B, it shows that this L, that is coefficient of self-induction or self-inductance, it is analogous to the mass m in the kinetic energy expression. Okay, so that is this L, that is the coefficient of self-induction or self-inductance, can be considered as the electromagnetic analog of mass in mechanics. That is, L plays the role of inertia, because mass plays the role of inertia. Na? I mean, inertia is actually due to the mass of an object. So this L plays the role of inertia. It is the electrical inertia actually that opposes the growth and decay of current, that is the change in current in the electrical circuit. Now, consider the general case of currents flowing simultaneously in two nearby coils C1 and C2. So here, let I1 be the current flowing through this coil C1 and let I2 be the current flowing through this coil C2. Now, if we take the flux linkage or flux linked with one coil, for example, if we are calculating the flux linked with this coil C1, let that flux be epsilon 1. Okay, let the flux, I mean not epsilon 1, I'm sorry, let the that flux can be taken as phi 1. Okay, flux linked with this coil C1 can be taken as phi 1. So if you take that flux linkage or the flux linked with this coil C1, there is actually a flux linked with this coil C1 due to the current flowing through this coil C1 itself. And there is another flux linked with this coil C1 due to the current flowing through this coil C2. Because we know that when the current I2 flows through this coil C2, there will be a corresponding magnetic field produced around it. then this coil C1, it is in the presence of that magnetic field. Okay, so coil C1 is actually linked with the magnetic flux produced due to the current I2 flowing through this coil C2, as well as there is some current I1 flowing through C1 itself. So there will be a flux linked with the coil C1 due to the current flowing through this coil C1 itself. Okay, so the total flux linked with this coil C1 is the sum of these two fluxes. Okay, so the flux linkage through the coil C1 can be written as N1 phi 1 equal to, okay, flux linkage through the coil C1, that I am taking it as N1 phi 1, that will be equal to what? Flux linkage due to the current through the coil C1 itself plus flux linkage due to the current through the coil C2, through the neighboring coil C2. We have already discussed about this expression of flux linkage N phi B. It is actually proportional to the current flowing through the coil. We have discussed about flux linkage. If you haven't watched that class, please watch the video. I will provide that link in the description box. So flux linkage N phi B is actually proportional to I. Okay, now here, if we calculate the flux linkage due to the current I1 flowing through this coil C1 itself, that flux linkage N phi, I'm taking it, okay, that flux linkage N phi B, that will be equal to what? Self inductance L into current flowing through this coil I1. Okay, or you can take it as L1, self inductance of C1, so L1 I1. Alright, now if you are taking the flux linkage due to the current I2 flowing through this neighboring coil C2, then what will be that flux linkage? That flux linkage will be equal to mutual inductance of the coil C1 with respect to the coil C2 into the current which is flowing through this coil, that is I2. Okay, L is the self-inductance and M is the mutual inductance or coefficient of mutual induction. We have discussed about all these concepts. If you haven't watched, I will provide the link in the description box. Please watch those videos and after only you watch this. Okay, so you can write the total flux linked with this coil C1 as N1 phi 1 equal to the flux linkage due to the current through the coil C1 itself, that is L1 phi 1. So L1, not phi 1, sorry, L1 I1. Then plus flux linkage due to the current flowing through this coil C2. That is what? M12 into I2. Okay, so we got the total flux linked with this coil C1 as like this. And we have the expressions for the self-induced EMF and the EMF induced due to mutual induction like this. Self-induced EMF epsilon can be written as minus L into di divided by dt, where L is the coefficient of self-induction or self-inductance. Then in the case of mutual induction, the EMF induced due to the mutual induction epsilon can be written as minus M into di divided by dt, where this M is actually the coefficient of mutual induction or mutual inductance. So the EMF induced in this coil C1 will be due to the EMF, that will be the sum of self-induced EMF plus the EMF induced due to the mutual induction. Okay, so the EMF induced in this coil C1, that can be written as epsilon 1 equal to self-induced EMF, that is minus L into, I am taking it as L1. Okay, self-induced EMF of this coil C1, I am taking it as L1. So minus L1 into current through this coil is I1. So di1 divided by dt plus then the EMF induced in this coil due to mutual induction. That will be what? Minus M into. So minus mutual inductance of the coil 1 with respect to the coil 2 into D into current through this coil is I2. So di2 divided by dt. Okay, this plus and minus, that becomes minus. So we can write this expression, that is the EMF induced in the coil C1 as minus L1 di1 divided by dt minus M12 di2 divided by dt. Okay, so we got one such expression now. That is, when we are considering two nearby coils and currents flow through both the coils, then the EMF induced in a single coil will be due to the EMF induced by the coil itself and EMF induced due to the change in current in the neighboring coil. So in this video, first we discussed about energy stored in inductor. Then we have considered two coils like this and current simultaneously flow through both the coils, and we got the expression for the flux linkage with one coil, as well as we got the expression for the induced EMF in coil, any one coil. Okay, here we have considered the coil C1, so we got an expression like this. I hope you understood this class. Thank you.